Hey there, this is Jesse with Evansville Harley-Davidson here for Fit Friday. And today I've got one of my favorite bikes, the Fat Boy. And I'm not talking about my favorite parts and labor specialist, Vance, in the back. Love you, Vancey. But the Fat Boy, the bike that the Terminator rode in the second Terminator movie. Some people say this is actually what brought back the American cruiser scene and revitalized it. And while I personally don't think it was the #1 reason we saw it come back in the 1990s, it was definitely a major contributor, especially whenever you see Arnie throwing a leg over and it's Bad to the Bone starts playing. Everybody wanted to be the Terminator, not because we were going fast, because we looked great. Granted, that was a little before my time, but it still applies today. This bike has received a lot of updates in tech and power, but it's still, to me, and if you go back to it, the closest to what Willie G. Davidson was looking for whenever he was originally designing it. He was trying to just get something that was really big and more planted for a bike. And that's why in 1988 and 89, he was actually going to Daytona Bike Week with the prototypes of these bikes and just getting feedback from people. Hey, what do you want to see more of? What do you like? What do you not? And then in 1990, that feedback that y'all gave to at that time is what led to the Fat Boy and has continued for all of its iterations to today. And I'll point out some of that stuff here. For the Fat Boy, one of the big things that has stayed the same that a lot of people, like, they either love it or they hate it, is actually the big saucer wheels for in the front and over in the back. Some people say that they'll feel like they get pushed around a whole lot on the road because of those wheels. And for me personally, I think it's like 50-50s. Having ridden on them myself, I think I could see it, but also not at the same time, just because in my mind, with no degree in physics, by the way, I'm thinking while the wheel's spinning, unless you're like super thin spokes, it would be solid. But hey, what you experience is your own experience, right? So for me, I feel okay. Other people, not so much. What you can't deny, though, is it looks fantastic. You look at this bike, you automatically know, hey, that's a Fat Boy right there. Another thing about it is the badging. On the original 1990 version of it, it was this exact same emblem, except it was hand painted onto the tank and you saw another wing come out here to the front. And what it was trying to emulate was a very patriotic looking bike. That was, again, Willie G. Davidson revitalizing that American cruiser scene, that love of America. He wanted to have a very patriotic looking bike, and having something that was reminiscent of those World War II planes is what he was going for there. And we've continued that tradition even today. Like, I mean it. You go back and you look at bikes like the Gray Ghost, exact same paint setup on it. There is a little misnomer though. The name Fat Boy, a lot of people will say it's a continuation of that, like it comes from World War II whenever we dropped the bombs on Japan to end the war in the Pacific Theater. The names of the bombs, it was a reference to that. In Willie G's 2000 book, 100 Years of Harley-Davidson, he wrote down that while that he didn't exactly say, no, that's not the reason, that wasn't the intentional idea. What he actually did was, it's because of the forks. He wanted to have a far more bulldog, big buff looking stance with it. So having those fat front forks, the bell to also take up a lot of area, it made it have a big stance. And marketing at the time looked at it and somebody said, man, that's a fat bike right there. And then marketing ran with it with the Fat Boy. But yeah, from the man himself and Willie G. Davidson's 100 Years of Harley-Davidson, it's total rumor. But kind of go back to what Gene Simmons used to say about publicity and stuff. No press is bad press. So if people are talking, that's good for you. And the Fat Boy, its sales definitely increased because of that patriotic story that goes with it. The other big thing that's stayed with the Fat Boy the entire time is its dual shotgun exhaust, to where it is no 2-into-1, it just stays true dual all the way. It has received different lengths from the motor company over the years. Some of it where you'll see one pipe come out to this length and another one stopping there, as you see on it now. Some people will bring it all the way to where they're both the same. The original one actually had it to where you were stopping kind of here on your back one and more up here on the front. But still, true dual shotgun styling exhaust has stayed with the Fat Boy for its entire run. And it really goes a lot to say of how this bike, it hasn't, while it's received some performance changes with improved suspension, we're making more power than that 67 horsepower engine that came out in 1990. We're pushing around, I want to say it was like 98 horsepower with the 114. So we're putting out a lot more power, gobs more torque, but the style has stayed the same. Even keeping your gauge. Even though we've included some digital gauges, this is one of the few gauges from the motor company in 2024 that you still have a traditional analog system across the top, and it's not been moved up to where it's like, oh, it's in the rider's sight. No, we kept it on the tank. No, it's not the most useful. You have to look down to see what speed you're going, but it's tradition, and it looks fantastic. But we've also included some modern stuff with the digital part down here for your odometers. Your RPMs can show up down there, but also it'll show you your gear indicator, and this is paired with a true 6-speed transmission. Something that's often overlooked. And then the last thing that I adore it, but I also see why some people aren't crazy about it, is the floorboards paired with the tires that the Fat Boy have. The Milwaukee 8, when they received that redesign in 2018, they do have a more flat tire across it, so you do have to work a little bit more to get that turn, which I know for me, it weirded me out a little bit at first, but over time of playing with this bike, spending more time in the saddle, and trusting that it's not going to slide out from underneath you, breaking in those tires, this bike can lean very well. I have no problem moving them around the showroom floor, and we have a very tightly packed showroom floor here at Evansville Harley. So I definitely recommend riding on these bikes, because even though, are they the fastest? No, not even in 2024. Are they the most performance oriented? No, absolutely not. Have you seen some of the crazy things we got out there? Performance is not what this is going for. Does it look the best? Absolutely. So come on down to Evansville Harley today. Come and ride on a Fat Boy. A lot of people think we don't make them anymore, but as you can see, we still got them. But yeah, come play on the Fat Boy, come ride around on it here at Evansville Harley-Davidson, where we know the bike's story because we study our history.